Seed of Life is an epic adventure game about the persistence of life. There's AAA quality graphics. You're Cora, the last known survivor of Lumia, a dying planet. Come join us on a very, very emotional journey. Your only hope to save the world is to activate the Seed of Life and rekindle the sun once again. Did I mention the AAA quality graphics? Will you be the light that conquers the darkness? There's dynamic gameplay. It's a semi-open world. And did I mention the AAA graphics? Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Mabimpressions. Today we're going to be talking about a game called Seed of Life. This game comes out August 11th, 2021, and it was developed by Mad Light. As I mentioned in the beginning, the little cold opening, well, not a cold opening, the little introduction here, you are playing Cora. This game is, well, it says on Steam, it's a puzzle platformer, which I can kind of agree with. Action, you know, not that much, at least at the beginning. Emotional, has tags. I'm reading the tags here. Emotional, it's up to you whether or not you want to think it's crazy emotional. Colorful, at times. And I just want to mention the Seed of Life, like arts, like the cover art reminds me of like a Fable opening. So what is this game? Well, what is it about? Do I recommend it? First of all, I did receive a review copy. However, all thoughts will be my own. Thank you for the freaking early copy. This game is definitely an indie game, and there's nothing wrong with it being an indie game. However, it's kind of weird when they try to go out of the way to sell you on the game. It's like they have nothing like better to say rather than, hey, this is an emotional story. This is AAA graphics. This is crazy. Like, they should really talk about the game and what you're going to be doing. Like, oh, collect new abilities, new powers, do stealth missions, you know, find collectibles and upgrades. And, you know, it does say semi-open world, but it should say like, oh, you know, go at your own pace, go here, go that way, avoid dangerous enemies. But no, they sell it with like, oh, dynamic gameplay. Okay, the game starts off with you playing as Cora, and this is probably the strongest thing about the game that I've seen. In the overall story and the setting is very, very interesting. You play as this girl, and she talks about her inner monologue. Or I think it's an inner monologue. That's the one thing. Like, sometimes I think I see her mouth move, and I'm like, oh, wow, she's just talking out loud. But then you turn the camera around, and sometimes she's just not talking. If it's an inner monologue, that's cool. That's totally fine. She's living in this house. She is one of the only survivors on a world that has been seemingly taken over by aliens. I say seemingly because there's different types of species, and then you come to learn who is potentially good and who's bad. And your grandfather is missing, or father, I forgot which one it was. And it's up to you to leave your house, find the Seed of Life that is supposedly, you know, supposed to make everything better. There was a catastrophe, and it's up to you to do that. So how? You run outside, you talk to some aliens, and you start building up abilities. In this game, there is slight mechanics to all of those things mentioned: puzzle, platformer, action, and all that stuff. So there is about, I don't know, half an hour, 40-minute tutorial that teaches you the ropes. You're gonna find checkpoints. At these checkpoints, you're going to be healing your HP there. You're going to be recovering Lumia, which is the mana currency of the game. The whole world runs on it. And to increase your Lumia, you're going to be touching trees or plants. And then you can suck the life out of them to gain permanent upgrade stats. And you're going to be going through the world, disabling enemy shields. Disabling the shields gives you something called a pedal. The pedal is just a name for the technology chips, and then using these pedals you go to other sort of checkpoints, and then that's how you insert the pedals, and then you're gonna get new abilities. Some give you some cool like vision thing, like think of Ocarina of Time, or is it Majora's Mask? I don't remember. I think Ocarina of Time, when you would use the the thing that makes you see all the invisible stuff. And it drains mana in Legend of Zelda. And here, all of your new abilities will drain your Lumia at different rates. So there's a vision one, there's a light one, there's like a regeneration one, and there's a couple more that you're definitely gonna have to go find for yourself. But essentially, you want to run along and you want to grab every single one, and so you can get to the Seed of Life and activate it. Along the path, there are some puzzles. The puzzles, oh god, they have these things where it's like circular puzzles that you go into and then you just turn around. I thought it was going to be much more difficult than it was. At the beginning of the game, you can choose story, normal, or hard. I don't know if that has any sort of bearing on these puzzles. It might just be as simple as like more energy drain or something like that. But the puzzles are just like you turn, you match, and then you activate it. There's like small jumping puzzles where it's like, oh, you better jump over, you know. The controls are fine. I played on Steam and I used an Xbox controller and it played okay. It played just perfectly fine for an indie game. I do have to say though, I really did not like the camera work here. It worked fine in the open settings when there's nothing around you, but then as soon as you hit a wall and you're trying to move around, it's janky as all hell. It like moves on its own, it snaps a little bit, and then it does not feel good. So the camera up against walls and other things, it could mess you up a lot. Like I said, the controls are fine. You have a stealth button, you have a jump button, which is binded to your X key on an Xbox controller, which is a little weird. Your interact button is the A button, and then you use like the D-pad and all the other buttons to activate your other abilities later, and you could toggle them on or off. So you got to make sure to manage your resources, and that's more of the game. Like the game says, oh, it's a puzzle platform, it's an emotional story. I felt like I was just managing resources the whole time. Like every single time you have to go through like a cave, you have to use your lights, and then if you run out of light, you have to either just find your way out, fall through a pit trap, and hopefully you die. Otherwise the pit trap doesn't automatically kill you, then you're going to be waiting at the bottom. It's so whack that way. But there are some collectibles there. It's not too hard to find because they give you a sort of ability at the beginning of the game where you can see columns floating in the sky of lights, pillars if you will, and they are points of interest, and you walk to them, and some of them are new abilities, some of them are the other stuff, and there's other stuff too, like perma HP ups and gates that require you to have a certain amount of Lumia max to do that. But yeah, okay, so I really want to talk about this too. I'm not hating, it's just like it's a funny thing to notice. So they have the one character and she's voice acting everything. She talks a lot. She talks quite a lot, especially at the beginning of the game. And her voice does not sound like someone who has a lot of experience with this, and that's 100% fine. That's 100% fine. But it kind of takes me out of the emotional story that they want you to have when this character talks, and the whole thing is riding on her. She's the only thing you're latching onto. You're controlling this character, and all of her lines have some sort of weird inflection. You know, hopefully I can play a little bit of it here.
I knew it. You're an Amurian. You destroyed our world and left us with nothing. You will pay for what you did here.
No, but it's just it's not enough to like take you out of it fully. But if you sit there and you listen to it, you're gonna notice it, and then it's from there. So another thing I have to somewhat nitpick is the way that the game starts you off when you go into the open world part. It's a semi-open world because it is semi-open. It kind of felt like I was playing Shadow Man. Was that the name of the game? Shadow Man, that old Dreamcast one that recently got turned into the the remaster. It felt like I was playing an old school game, just in terms of like the graphics are fine, but like the map progression and the game progression, it doesn't hold your hand, and that's fine, but it doesn't feel intuitive either. You get to this point where you have to take a bunch of leaps of faith and just run around, and hopefully you don't die, because the game at the beginning really doesn't want you to go to areas that that you're not allowed to. You're almost gonna instantly die. Your health immediately starts to drain when you go near these like soul-sucking plants and all that. But here's the thing, you have to go through them. You have to go through them. But it's just very counterintuitive to what you think to do. So, you know, after a while, you're going to have to just run around, and hopefully that's the right path. And half the time when I made progress or found something hidden, it did not feel rewarding, and it felt like, oh, wow, was this really what I was supposed to do? Did I skip something? Hopefully I can go back and do this other stuff. It just did not feel good. And that's just how it works. So, let's see what else is there. There's a small amount of like interactables you can do, like there's some lampposts around the world that is pretty much just for like Easter egg collectibles, and you actually get a Steam achievement if you get a certain amount of them. Yeah, it's a very, very, very average game. I have to say it. It's just there are some problems with the pacing, with the progression map, and like I said, it is what it is. AAA quality graphics they have written on there. Oh, I have to say this though. The weight on the GPU of this game, it's fine. In the game, it's fine. You can go on high settings, VC gone, 60 frames per second, turn on, you know, motion blur, all that stuff, and it works fine. For the most part, it was running on my GPU around 60%. Not total, just the usage. It was taking itself 60%. But I have to warn you guys, I don't know if they're going to fix this on the main menu. It was running at 100%. And I've been playing games recently like Orcs Must Die that has been having this issue where the GPU performance was just really messed up on places where you wouldn't even think it would use so much resources, such as the main menu. The problem with Orcs Must Die 3 was that it was uncapped frame rate, and then they had a patch to put it to like 60 or something until they get a good workaround. But here, there's no reason for it to be as high. There's nothing going on in the main menu. So it was running like crazy. So I had to go into the menu, and I had to turn off VSync. I had to put the frames down to 60. I had to put everything on low. I had to turn down all the extra things, and it finally went down to like 30%. And then you press one toggle, you go, okay, now everything's down. Let me try the VSync. So I toggled VSync, and then boom, went back to 100. So it's a little buggy that way. Don't leave your game idle if you do get that there. Don't leave it idle. Go right into the game. And then as soon as it got to the game, it's like, oh, 30%. Wow. And then you can bump it up to 60. So there's like a little bit of performance issues there, but the game did not really stutter. That's good. But yeah, it's an indie game. And the emotional story part, it's a little far in between for you to get too invested. There's like huge lulls of no story, and then every once in a while you're talking to this alien creature and you're like, oh, I'm gonna save the world. Oh, you're a bad guy. You guys took over my world. It's a little weird. But if this is your type of game, then please support them. You know, they did not do a terrible job. It's not terrible. I'm not saying don't get it. I'm just saying know what you're getting into. This is not a 100% like crazy good AAA game. It's not that. It's aspiring to be. And you know what? As long as they don't mess up completely, it's cool. So yeah, this Seed of Life. It's an interesting game. It's like a 50-50 recommendation. If you guys like indie games and you want to play something for a little bit, try it out. If you're looking for like your next favorite game to experience, it's probably not going to be it. But there is some good stuff and bad stuff for sure. And hopefully I got through all of it, like I said. But yeah, like I said, it does look like Fable. It looks really cool, the art there. So hey, let me know what you guys think. If you enjoyed, leave a like. It helps a lot. If you haven't already subbed for the videos. Oh, I forgot to mention, I should say this at the beginning of the episode. If you guys want to see the gameplay, head on over to my Let's Play channel. It's called MabiVsGamesVOD. It's where I upload everything I review, and of course everything from our streams. And come by the stream, twitch.tv/MabiVsGames. Let me know what you think. Was I too harsh on the game? Was I right on the dot? Maybe there's something else I missed I should have talked about. If you have any questions, let me know and I'll be happy to answer. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.